The former president, Kayleigh, in the close, it seemed like the Trump campaign was pretty disciplined. They hit the immigration issue a lot at his rallies. And we saw his pitch at the town hall and the speech in Iowa. This was a different speech. He is a fighter. He punches back. He obviously didn't like the speech he heard from Nikki Haley. But he's also, at some point, has to get into general election, going after independents and maybe disaffected Democrats. And this speech probably wasn't that.
No, this speech was a speech to dispose of the last remaining competitor, if you could call it that. She's still significantly behind him. He's pulling a majority support. But to get her out of the race, I would suggest that adopting a general election tone is what you do at this point. And here's why I say this. This was actually a fairly good night for Joe Biden. When you look at our voter analysis, only 10% said, I would not vote for Joe Biden if he's the nominee. He won a plurality of voters who said he was too old. He won a majority of voters who are upset about the Gaza war. So the divides in the Democrat Party, and this is a small sample size, but perhaps aren't as stark as one would think. But when you look at the Republican Party, 7 in 10 Nikki Haley voters said, I would not vote for Trump. There was the Des Moines Register poll, 43% said, no, I wouldn't vote for Trump. If I'm Trump, I sit back and I exclusively focus on the general election. I take the posture of a presumptive nominee. I focus on, number one, uniting the party, and number two, winning the independents, which Nikki Haley won 55 to 39%. That's what I would do. Nikki Haley, the closest margin is 30% in the states ahead. For all intents and purposes, he's the presumptive nominee.
What's up, people? What's going on? My name is Wayne Dupree, and welcome to the Wayne Dupree Show here on Rumble and other platforms, Getter, Facebook, Twitter X, Getter,
CBS, NBC,
Fox News. Do we have our Fox News contract yet?
Not yet. Let me introduce my co-pilots on this ruckus plane, the godfather of conservative radio, Mr. Hutch Bailey Jr.
To the captain, we just lost our front landing wheel in Atlanta. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. Airline industry is falling apart.
Let's go invert it, baby. Let's go invert it. And let me introduce the younger looking, until he takes off his hat, the younger looking J.R. Robinson from Muslim Soda. What's up, Jay?
Hey. Happy hump day, everybody. I can't wait to get into today. New Hampshire primary. Season's rolling, baby.
That's right. I'm going to give a shout out real quick to many of our followers. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do the show. So I want to give a shout out to each and every one of you that are out there. Thank you so much. For the subscribers on my Twitter X account. I was able to get some exercise equipment last month. I was able to save up and get some exercise equipment, and I am down 10 pounds since December 13th.
Here.
So and I'm focused. I am focused. I remember being in the military and focused on losing weight, and
I hated that.
We had a machine or a stat came out in the military that 50% of people that retired or left the military within 1 year had a heart attack. So they got more stringent on us being in shape. They brought a bike in there and they tested our stuff. And I was out of shape according to the bike test. So, and I only did it as practice. So what the military was doing, to make a long story short, is if you fail the test, you got 30 days to get yourself right, and then you come back and take the test. If you fail the test again, you're out of the military with a dishonorable discharge. I worked my tail off. You hear me? I mean, it's like when I start doing it, I was doing a mile and a half. It's like 13, 14 minutes, a mile and a half. By the time I got finished, it was 9 minutes and 30 seconds, a mile and a half. I was in jogging. I was running. I was running. When I went back and got on the bike, they had 7 levels. 7 was the best. I was off the charts on that bike. They were like, we can't even chart you on here because you're so high. I was down to 8% body fat. I was good. Kind of felt bad when my next door neighbor, when I went over to play some games with him on the thing, opened up the door and I looked at his face. He was like, ugh. You need to stop working out, man. You just look like bones. You just look like, oh.
You want one of these? You want one of these lettuce sandwiches?
Right. The thing was, I was eating 3 meals a day at the chow hall. They don't like it when we say chow hall, but it was chow hall. I was eating 3 meals a day. I just wasn't eating after 7 o'clock at night. I just didn't do it. I cut out potato chips and soda and all that stuff. I was focused, and now I'm focused. I'm focused on losing weight to get down, because when I sit in those seats on the airplane, it's kind of uncomfortable. So there we go. All right. New Hampshire. Donald Trump dominated once again. Hutch, give me your early analysis of New Hampshire.
I think it showed, to me anyway, the bottom-feeding way of the professional Republican Party. When you see the votes that Nikki Haley got, far exceeded what I thought was going to happen from Democrats. It's basically wow, talk about an infiltration. And they were asking for those votes. The Haley campaign was encouraging these Democrats to come in there and do that. And I just think that tells you that between that, and I know I'm not really talking about the results, but between that and the commentary that Nikki Haley made yesterday ought to disqualify her from further running. When she called Trump supporters abnormal people on Fox News or wherever she was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They called it her deplorable moment.
Wow.
Right after the polls opened, I think. It was yesterday sometime. But I was close. I mean, I thought he was going to get 60. That was a little I was hoping a little bit more than thinking. But
you got to start bringing that down. Well, I mean, you got to start bringing that down in the future so that you can.
Well, I mean, I was 4 points off.
Yeah.
4.5 points off on the upside. On the low side, I was way off. I didn't think the 40-some percent. I didn't realize the situation was so bad with the Democrats in New Hampshire. You're going to see it in South Carolina, where no Democrats can vote in the primary.
Right. Jay?
Yeah, I was going to say real similar analysis. I mean, if you look at the votes, it ended up 54 Trump, 43 Nikki, and then I was really surprised that like nobody voted for Ron DeSantis. I mean, out of
they sure didn't.
Literally, man, like less than 1,000.
Well, actually, the final number dropped in at 2,300 or 2,200, but that's out of 200,000 votes, less than 1%. Right. Chris Christie got 1,400. So I mean, I in my numbers as I look at them, I thought Ron DeSantis might pull a 4, 5, 6%, and he pulled nothing, which just shows what a fraud his campaign was. Because anybody that was really a DeSantis supporter would have voted for DeSantis. These were just anti-Trumpers. That was the only audience. That audience all moved to Nikki Haley. And then, I mean, I've seen exit poll data anywhere from 25 to 75% of Nikki Haley's 140,000 votes were from independents or Democrats. And it's important to note, many of those people are people that will not vote for her in the general election. It was a vote against Trump.
Yeah. and I'm glad you said that. They won't vote for Nikki Haley in the general.
Right.
But they will vote for Joe Biden.
Correct.
Look at the totals of all the votes in the Republican primary, and it's way more than there's Republicans there.
Right.
You know,
Right.
It's 315,000. What were we talking before? 100,000 or something like that? I mean,
well, the record they say was 270 was the record for them to get
and
more.
That wasn't that the record in the state? Because I know
Yes.
Trump broke a Bernie Sanders record.
Yep.
Right. That was in the state. 270 some thousand was the record, and then they were expecting. Well, they had to change it like 2 times from what I was watching, and then they said it was going to come over 330,000. When I look at this, and I think President Trump should be happy that he won, and I think that Trump team should be happy that he won, and that he's on his right way, really, to secure the nomination. Should I throw up pause? Hell yeah, I'm going to throw up pause. Because when I was really looking at it, Jay, I was like, if all those people came out to pick Nikki Haley, they're going to vote for Joe.
Yeah.
Because they don't want Trump. They're going to vote for, they're going to add on. I mean, I was surprised that Joe won the his side.
That was shady.
Yeah, I mean, and when I threw that to you, you were like, "They counted all those write-ins already." I was like, "Yeah, I guess so. I don't know."
I read an article afterwards explaining that they did a sample of them.
Right.
They did a sample of them, and you could see 2 entries on the decision desk: Biden and write-in. And write-in was always higher than Biden, but it kept on going like this because they were reading more of them, and then they put and I believe he won, but I really would like to see the contents of the other write-in votes, because there was a campaign by Islamists to have people write in ceasefire.
Right. They're never going to publish that.
I know they won't. And I'd love to see that. And the other thing is that Ron DeSantis only got 0.7% of the vote. 1.4% went to other.
Right.
Well, if it ain't Chris Christie, who else is it?
And the reason why, I mean, we're all saying, because I thought he was going to get out at least after South Carolina, because I figured he was going to come in third there. It's like, why in the world would he? I mean, and actually, a couple of days before he suspended, "Oh, I got a strategy and all this stuff." Those internals must be man. He didn't. 2%, 1% milk got him almost.
I was watching those results, and it was like every half hour he got 5 more votes.
Well, yeah, and I mean, understand the significance of this. He just dropped out, and if these people, and he gave like no endorsement to Trump. He gave the squishiest endorsement ever. Yeah. And if you were really a DeSantis supporter, you would have voted, because you knew Nikki wasn't going to win. You would have voted for DeSantis just as a FU to Trump. As we get deeper in, like Super Tuesday or South Carolina, like that might have expired, and you might say, okay, I'm not going to vote for Ron anymore. But those people that were diehard Ron people, they were going to vote for Ron. Like if Trump dropped out, Trump still wins the next primary. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or if Trump suspends his campaign or whatever, he still gets 30-40% of the vote, just because people are like, no, I really want Trump.
We're talking about that. Let me play this.
Who did you vote for and why?
Yeah, so thank you. I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. I think the DNC is fairly resolute in their nomination for Joe Biden. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, particularly on our differences with climate change solution, a women's right to bodily autonomy, or incarceration rates, I think a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence in the RNC and their nomination, but is also a vote towards democracy.
And Christian is emblematic of so many conversations that I've had here throughout the day. Rachel?
Alex, Christian, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's good to have.
He's so happy with himself.
We're subverting democracy. Like, this is great. And I mean,
incarceration is a number one problem in this civilization. And did you like the way I pronounced that? Yeah, that was pretty good.
I captured some screenshots. New Hampshire's a beast. Angel was right about New Hampshire. New Hampshire is screwing it up in the Northeast. And if they get a hold, it's like I always heard about what the liberals were trying to do to Texas. I looked at this. They the time of the decision for, I guess these were the expos, the time of the decision that they made their decision, they had made their decision 75% before the primary. 75% of the voters had made up their minds before the primary.
Oh, I believe that.
Attend religious services. Check this out. 26% weekly, 36 occasionally, 36 never. Feelings about the way things are going in the country, 32% angry. I would expect that to be
way higher.
Dissatisfied.
It's pretty far away from the southern border, man. Give it a couple more months.
Dissatisfied, 45. Satisfied, 18%. And enthusiastic, 3%. Condition of the nation's economy, now this will get you, 35% poor. 34% not so good. 27% good. 3% excellent. Family's financial situation, 18% getting ahead. 60% holding steady. 20% falling behind. Life for next generation of Americans, 21% better than today, 56% worse than today, 20% about the same. In world affairs, the U.S. should take 30% more of an active role, 40% less than an active role, 26% about the same role. Most important issue, the economy at 34%, immigration 31%, foreign policy 17%, abortion 11%. I want to make note of that because the Democrats are going to try to push that up. They're going to try to push that up before the general election. Going to try hard. We told you about the website that they have. Which best describes your vote? Well, let's see. Okay, undocumented immigrants in the U.S. should be 51% deported to countries they came from, 51%, 45% offered chance for legal status. If Nikki Haley won the nomination, satisfied 55%, 43% would only be dissatisfied. If Ron DeSantis won the nomination, 62% dissatisfied, 32% satisfied. If Trump won the nomination, 56% satisfied, 43% dissatisfied in that state of New Hampshire. Did Biden legitimately win in 2020?
I hope you got the breakdown between Haley and Trump on this one because it tells you all you need to know.
49% yes, 49% no. New Hampshire. Part of MAGA movement. This will knock your socks off. 64% no. 32% yes. If Trump is convicted, is he fit to be the president? 50% yes, 47% no. That state
has Democrats.
That state is now Clinton won that state in 2016. They gave it to Biden in 2020. So looking at what those Dems did to that election, they're going to come out in full force for Biden
It's a good thing they don't have any electoral votes.
Yeah. Now,
the only reason in the world anybody even looks at the little mosquito of New Hampshire is because of this primary setup.
Right.
Otherwise, we wouldn't even be talking about it. They don't have that many delegates.
Right. And Trump got 11.
In other words, it's a psyop.
From what I know, Trump got 11. Nikki Haley got 8. Let me ask you this, y'all, because I was listening to a pundit last night, and I sort of see why she's not getting out, or why she's not rushing to get out, even though now Rona is now telling her that she should step down. The delegates, and we completely forgot the delegates. We haven't been talking about the delegates at all. And actually that's a mistake on our part, because in 2016 we were all talking about the delegates and the super delegates and all that stuff and everything. I don't know. I'm going to take y'all back to 2016 really quick. Michigan and Florida moved their primaries early, and they lost, and those delegates were lost during the 2016 primary for the Democrats. Hillary Clinton was winning. Barack Obama was placing second, so he was getting delegates. He wasn't getting as much as she was, but he was getting delegates. But what was happening is he was staying in there. So when they got down to the South and he started winning, he started to get the majority of the delegates, because Michigan and Florida didn't count. If Michigan and Florida probably, there it is.
Cool.
There it is. There it is.
Giddy up.
If Michigan and Florida, okay, there it is. Look. I'm entertaining really crazy. If Michigan and Florida would have kept their primaries in the right place, Hillary Clinton probably would have been the nominee instead of Barack Obama, is what I'm saying. He jumped ahead of her in the delegates because of Michigan and Florida, and that's what took him. What Nikki is doing right now, because last night, all I was looking at was the votes. Man, Trump is running. Trump gonna win that thing. Look at that. And then they showed the delegates. Well, he got 11, she got 8. I was like, I forgot about that. Now, Nevada, he jumped ahead. Her name wasn't on there. He got all those delegates out there. So I think it's 20-8 right now in delegates.
Yeah, but what's that mean? I mean, New Hampshire only has 4 electoral votes.
But to get the nomination, we're talking about to get the nomination.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say all this early stuff, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, it's all just momentum stuff. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean a hill of beans. But
well, it means a hill of beans when it comes to delegates, because if something happens to him, she can be the only one. I mean, that's the only reason why she's probably staying in right now. She can be the only one that's like, I got these delegates. I got the most delegates out of everybody. I'm going to the floor. I'm going to the house. I'm going to the floor at the convention because I have these delegates.
Right.
And I think this ties into what Angel was saying yesterday, that the political apparatus is so corrupt in New Hampshire that you've set up New Hampshire, and I hate to use this word twice at the same time, but you set up a psyop. If you've got Democrats able to vote in a Republican primary, why would you have that? You're trying to, like you said, it's about momentum. You know, if you could put a false narrative out there, oh, Nikki Haley's kicking butt, man. She maybe in South Carolina it'll pick up.
Well, yeah, that's the important thing. If you take those Democrat voters out, and let's say Trump, and I think that's what I told you guys yesterday when we were doing the breakdown. If it's just Republicans voting, Trump wins probably 60-70% to Nikki's 20. And then today we're talking about how Nikki's done. But when we're talking about a 5-10 point spread, now all of a sudden people have the perception that Nikki's a real candidate still. And that's why with South Carolina, and it sounds like Hutch verified that. I had to dig into that to see how easy it is to change your registration to vote in the Republican primary. Because most states you can do that fairly easily. You can be a registered Democrat, you can show up and say, I want to change my party affiliation. Now I'm going to vote for.
Yeah, I don't have to have mine until April.
Well, last night when I was watching them leave, they were changing their affiliation back to their party.
There. Yeah,
right there.
You could do it right there too. Yeah,
yep,
exactly.
Sure did. I was
and the difference between my predictions and Jason's predictions are that I didn't think there was that many Democrats. That's the difference. I thought if that would have been all Republicans, it would have been closer to what I said.
Oh, it would have been 100%.
You know, but I didn't realize the infiltration. I started thinking about it after Angel was talking. You know, and then you look at that map and you look at the townships that went for Haley, and it's like they're all throughout the whole state.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just in one area.
Guys, this shows you that the Uniparty is going to pull out anything you can think of that they're going to do to this election. It's going to be worse. And you are underestimating what they're going to do.
You can watch it. Nikki Haley's sole purpose in life right now is to hang on until Trump goes to prison.
That's what I said.
And that's the Republicans' plan.
Yep.
Right.
Not the Democrats' plan. That's the Republicans' plan.
Yeah.
Well, it's a uniparty plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, see, I figured Ron would get something, you know, like what we were saying earlier. I thought he might get like 6 or 7, and then, you know, some other candidates all together that were equal up to 13 for 32%. And she got what, 43, 42?
She got 43 and he had less than a percent.
I was like, what? I mean, that's a lot of votes that she got.
Yeah.
But if you really look at it, again, those people aren't going to vote for her in the general. They're going to vote for Joe.
Yeah, wait till South Carolina.
Because if you listen to most of them that came out there, there was one woman. There was one older woman that came out there. And I don't know what juice that she was smoking on. But she was like, man, I voted for Nikki Haley because we're tired of the same thing and tired of the stuff and everything. They just don't like Trump up there. Well, no. They like Trump up there because that's why he won. Okay. He got a lot of votes up there. But there's a contingent up there that if they're willing to do this, they're willing to do anything. If they're willing to do this, to switch over, to get out of their warm beds and warm chairs at night, to go and vote for a Republican.
Get out of their state from Massachusetts, jump on the bus.
You know what, too? I noticed how close Massachusetts was to that. I mean, the line, you know, that line right there. I'm sure some people crossed the line to vote.
Apparently, it's a thing they do all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny too, if you listen to Nikki Haley's speech, she was talking like she won, which was kind of ironic. Trump called her out on that. But she said the thing right in front of everybody. She's like, oh, if Trump's a nominee, he's going to, Democrats are going to go after him. He's going to inspire more Democrat voters, but they won't do that for me. And she's 100% right. Trump scares them because Trump's going to do what needs to be done and what we want him to do. Nikki doesn't scare them.
Exactly.
Nikki is just a Democrat. I mean, she'll do not everything they want. She'll do different things that they want, but she's just a Democrat. So Democrats aren't going to be afraid of Nikki Haley.
I don't believe she's a Democrat. I believe that she is compromised. She's compromised. Right. She's a compromised neocon, and but they're all part of the same party, just like you said.
Right.
They're all
they
part
prefer
of
that. The Democrats, the leadership of the Democrats, they would rather have that than Trump. They would rather have a neocon warmonger than they would have MAGA running the country.
Well, and let's be real, guys. I mean, we're still living under the Nancy Pelosi spending bills. And if Nikki Haley wins the presidency, she's not going to cut entitlements or, pull back.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, hold on. One of the things Nikki Haley's been talking about lately, real bad, is cutting Social Security and raising the retirement age. And that's for the donor class. because the donor class doesn't pay any taxes right now.
Right.
Somebody has to foot the bill for all these wars and everything, and that's me and you guys.
Right.
You know.
Well, yeah, and Nikki's taking that battle because, like, Social Security, if you make over, I think it's 130.
The donors want her to do it. The donors are pushing that on her. She has to do that.
Right. But that ain't going to get through.
No, what it does is it makes us lose. Remember the Paul Ryan ad?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work, man. People, we got to quit doing stuff that doesn't work. Abortion doesn't work. Cutting entitlements doesn't work. Making more money to be able to afford the entitlements works.
Wait a minute. You said cutting entitlements don't work, is what you said?
No, not as a political issue. Hell no.
Not
Right.
Overall entitlements.
That's a shot in the heart.
Yeah.
That's a shot in the heart because
Medicaid, welfare, Medicaid, EBT,
Right.
and Social Security are what I'm talking about. That's not
talk about cutting that. Democrats are going to sharpen up their knives, boy.
And I swear it's a Democrat plan that they put in these Republicans' ears when they're whispering sweet nothings in their ears, and they go out and they get beat every time they do it.
Well, and that's what's funny too. I can't remember which politician said, as soon as you figured out you could buy votes, we ruined it. And Democrats put all these programs in where they buy votes, and nobody, and
he just bought 70,000 more, paid off the parasite class, the college loans.
Right. Yeah. Every time he approves that, every one of those people is going to vote for a Democrat.
Right.
I saw a meme that was so good. It said, repeal college debt, repeal degree. You know.
Well, and the college debt thing's so stupid. Why don't they go hit up the school or the lenders? Why does the government just pay for it?
The government.
Why doesn't the endowments at the colleges pay for it? They have billions and billions.
They got billions.
That's what I mean. Go back and hit up the schools. Like, you guys, you gave them these shitty degrees they can't make no money on. You pay a penalty. Did
the government give back the bank? Because I know under Obama they cut the banks out and the government started giving out the loans.
Oh man, yeah. My son got a letter in the mail while he was in college.
Did that stop?
I don't know. My son had to pay, but he got the Obama money.
Yeah.
You can. It gets weird because you can open through a private lender, and then the loans can get sold back and forth. The government lenders and private lenders, those sorts of things. The loans were set up by Republicans. Ironically, they gave the banks very favorable terms. Republicans were the ones that said that it can't be
just like they gave China, just like they gave the CCP favorable terms too, I guess.
Nikki Haley, because I was voting against Donald Trump.
And what propelled you to get to this?
I'm stupid.
I'm 74 years old. I've lived in a constitutional democracy all my life. I want to remain that way, and I want my grandchildren to.
Wait a minute. That's where you messed up, lady. You've lived in a constitutional democracy?
Incorrect.
It's a constitutional republic.
Representative.
Wow. See, there you go. See, the more you learn.
Grow up in one. Not a dictatorship.
And I'm curious, over the last two elections, have you voted Trump in the past? Was it something where you voted for him, you trusted him, and you were disappointed?
Yes, I voted for him in 2016. I am a registered Republican.
Damn fool.
I regretted that vote almost immediately, especially on his trip to Europe where he insulted our allies and praised Putin.
Oh, Jesus.
And why?
She watches MSNBC.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what that is. Damn.
That's disgusting. Yeah, we called it yesterday. That's who's ruining the country. That person right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We went across the country and embarrassed.
Constitutional democracy, just like Rachel said.
Well, and I was going to say, all these other countries, they love us, especially with Joe Biden in charge, because we just get bent over and they just give it to us dry. And of course they love us. We show up with the bags of money now. How much do you need? Sure, here's money. Here, money for you, money for you. Of course they love Joe Biden. And Donald Trump shows up and says, pay your goddamn share,
Let's just let's go back on let's run an inconvenient truth about NATO. Half of them were our enemies in World War II.
That's true. That's true. And we paid to rebuild what
we did. The
what
Marshall Plan.
What we destroyed.
We blew everything up and paid for everything to get rebuilt. And our raggedy ass streets are still the same.
Winning the debt, paying for all that stuff, and then offered them certain amount of money every year for years because of what we did. So,
I mean, they talk about the dropping 2 nuclear bombs like that was the biggest thing that happened in the world. That's not true. Right. We burned Japan to the ground before those 2 bombs went off. McNamara was in charge of it, and I'll tell you what, Japan, all their cities were made out of wood. As a matter of fact, in some regions the walls were paper.
Yep.
And they dropped incendiary bombs, and once that happened, the whole damn town lit up. The same thing we did in Germany and Dresden, firebombed them.
Well, we're seeing it in real time in Ukraine. It's just not our soldiers fighting. We funneled billions of dollars into Ukraine through military-industrial complex. All the politicians get their kickback, and the contracts to rebuild are already signed. So at whatever point they pull the plug on it, in comes BlackRock, in comes the property developers, and then you know who gets kicked back on the backside? The politicians that approved
Lindsey
the war.
Graham and Nikki Haley, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the scam is right there.
That vote almost immediately, especially on his trip to Europe where he insulted our allies and praised Putin.
And then in 2020, was that enough for you to change your vote to Joe Biden?
Yes, absolutely.
Why did you feel the need to cross party lines?
Because I want the world to be a safe place. I believe in a strong NATO. My father fought in World War II to defeat fascism, and I want it to remain defeated.
You know, New Hampshire is such a unique place.
She wanted to remain defeated. She got it.
You all get to actually see all of the candidates come here. In some cases, I'm sure get to meet them and even hear from them directly. What impressed you most about Nikki Haley?
Well, actually, I was a pro Chris Christie.
Oh,
He was a wonderful governor.
Wonderful. New Jersey's a place to be.
She's what's left.
Yeah. So you were disappointed when Chris Christie got out of the race. You basically didn't think that you would support anyone like DeSantis, and obviously not Trump. So Nikki Haley was the candidate you settled for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you feel good about her chances here in the state?
Not well, according to the news reporting, no. But I'm hoping that we surprise you.
Yeah. Republican in New Hampshire.
People like that get to vote. That's just insane.
Yep. For those that are watching, we're kind of analyzing like what happened last night in New Hampshire. President Trump won. As one going away, he got the most votes that anybody's ever gotten in that state during the primary. Nikki Haley came in second, and everybody else was so way far behind. You know, if Christie would have lasted, I think he would have came in second. Haley wouldn't have. Christie would have came in second. But with that said, Nevada, I think they did their caucuses, but they also are doing something else. And Donald Trump won that one already. South Carolina's next. And Nikki, she has 30 days. She has 30 days to because I heard she was 25 or 30 down in South Carolina. Is that right? She has 30 days to make up some.
Well, here's what's interesting, and I'm actually was just pulling it up on the South Carolina website. Mm-hmm. You can vote in either primary, but you can only vote in one, is what they're saying. So I think they could try the same move that they did in New Hampshire.
Switch over and then switch back.
Well, yeah, switch over, but the Democrat one's is later than the Republican one. So the Republican one is like 10 days from now, on a week from Saturday. And so it looks like, according to the South Carolina website, And I'll be honest, I haven't really looked into it, but I'm like, God, I'm wondering if that is. And yeah, right on there it says you can vote in one, but you can't vote on the other. You have the choice of voting in either the Republican or Democrat primary, and it sounds like the that party's state primary is in June. So yeah, so we can see the same shenanigans. I'll have to see somebody who knows the election laws better than me that digs into it, but. Okay. And Nevada is next, by the way. Nashon Savoy was asking that, but I don't think Nikki qualified for the ballot there, so she'd have to be right in.
What do you think about McDaniel coming out and telling her to get out?
Yeah, I saw that.
Kind of looked like a head fake to me, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
do you see what this idiot party did? $137 million so far against Trump.
Spent?
Yeah. I mean, I told you way back when DeSantis declared, I said, this is an impossible task. Trump is going to get the nomination. Way back then, you knew it. You know, to see this charade that's going on, it's actually a good thing. And I think we ought to really try to spread the word of how phony these people are. Because they really are, man. The Republican Party's ridiculous.
Well, and guys, the Ronna McDaniel thing, it's really a simple answer. And when I say it, you're going to be like, well, duh. It's there. Nobody's giving them any money. No candidate is going to raise more money for them than Donald Trump. And Ronna knows that the longer this goes, that money, if she doesn't say something, that's going to solidify that money going directly to Trump and not through the RNC.
So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Send your money directly to Trump.
Right.
Don't send anything to the Republican Democrat committee.
Yeah, Ronna looks at the donations and she looks at what Trump's getting direct and what's funneled through her. And she's like, oh, crap, I've got to come out and say something.
And those lips are starting to leak a little bit. She needs to get a read.
She needs to get a brush up, you know.
Oh, my God. How did y'all watch it? How did y'all watch it last night?
I just watched the Decision Desk. I wasn't, it was like on the side. I was doing some other things. Then I had to turn my phone off because you two guys, man. Bleep, 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 bleep.
Actually, I was funny. My buddy Todd, who's been on the podcast before, we watched it together, and we actually streamed it on our Twitter feeds. And we were watching C-SPAN, and then we both had like 3 computers up, pulling results. It was we did that for a couple hours. It was fun.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I know how I feel about MTG, and I'm not even going to put any words or anything into y'all's mouth or whatnot. But I see photos with McCarthy. Ran over there and got her a couple of photos, and she was all happy, pig and slop. And then when he left, she ran over to Johnson and got pictures of him. And now she's talking crap to him. Now she's down there traveling with Donald Trump. You know, I'm like, to me, I was like, look, I don't want this. I don't want her close to Trump. I really don't. That's me. Because it seemed like she's one of those Trump, well, not Trumper jumpers. She's not a Trumper jumper, but she just goes along with the person that is ahead.
You know what she reminds me of, Wayne?
What's that?
We used to go to a lot of conventions together, and we had a bunch of people with us, and there was a couple females that did the same thing. Every time somebody would go, they'd run and try to get a selfie with them. Yeah, I got a collection of selfies on my computer of these girls. I mean, it was beyond crazy, man. It's like they would go to an event in their own home state just to get the selfie.
Right.
Well,
that's what reminds me of when I see her doing that.
Groupie, yeah. Groupie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I was going to say MTG, even if and I thought she got there with the right intention, she just got bought out by the machine. And it's funny, we were texting about that Carrie Lake because that audio finally came out, and I listened to that audio and I'm like, oh, this is the machine. Like we knew the machine existed. We've seen the machine, and now you actually hear like this was it happening. And
I'll tell you what. We haven't seen anything from DeWitt. I contacted DeWitt last night and he didn't respond. I don't know whether he's in the witness protection program right now or not. But I listened to.
Sounds like Carrie Lake needs to be.
I know that's right. And honestly, if she felt threatened, she did the best thing possible by putting that out there, because now the spotlight is on her. So nothing. You would think nothing bad's going to happen to her because she put that spotlight. There's people back in Washington on the East Coast. She said East Coast, or she didn't say it, the guy did, that want her to. My God darn, there we go.
Well, yeah, for those who didn't see it, I think it was Daily Call or Daily Mail broke the story. There was a 10-minute audio release. Carrie Lake recorded her conversation with this dude from Arizona, and he
head
literally
of the GOP.
Head of the GOP. And it literally, the conversation starts with, okay, Carrie, the people out east want you not to run for Senate this time. What kind of job can we get you for 2 years? And then we'll let the Trump thing go over, and then you can jump back into the game.
What's your number?
I wonder if he's going to sue her, because at first when I was listening, I was like, where was this phone at? I was like, it had to be right there. I mean, because in some states you can't record somebody unless they know it. So I was like, where's this phone? I mean, it's not like she was just eating and calm and everything. I was like, dang. What? I mean, does he know he's being recorded?
No.
I mean, wow. So, but it was she mentioned it like I guess last year at CPAC. And I guess nobody really made anything of it, or for it to come out now. I know she's being sued, which I put in the group chat. She's being sued right now. And I saw some words that came up. We're talking about something. I won't speculate on that. But either way, we're talking about MTG.
This is a true change for the Republican Party. It says that not only do we support President Trump, we support his policies. And any Republican that isn't willing to adapt these policies, we are completely eradicating from the party. So it's up to Nikki Haley what she does.
All right.
This is one of those things.
All right.
Where if you got a plan and you want to execute it, go ahead. Don't tell everybody.
If you're going, the first rule of guerrilla warfare is don't tell people you're going to use guerrilla warfare.
Exactly.
If you're going to eradicate them silently. Don't ignore them. Don't answer their phone calls or something.
I thought that was pretty bold of her. When I heard that last night, I was like,
I know. Yeah. Okay.
I hope you got somebody watching your back.
I
mean, there's hundreds of them out there. You can't just say that.
I know.
I mean, I agree with her 100%.
Eradicate.
But they're going to use that. They already are. I already saw them on the news.
I saw some too. I did.
They're painting her as a freaking radical whack job.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I don't want her or Charlie Kirk or anybody close to Donald Trump moving forward, because that's like bad glue, man. I mean, it's like shit on a wall.
Well,
you don't want that attached to your name.
You already see the Democrat playbook for the election, right? So first it's going to be, let's talk about abortion. Second, it's going to be, let's try to spin the economic numbers and hope people don't ever buy groceries and realize how screwed they are. But the third thing is they're going to lean into Donald Trump's a dictator. So anything like he's evil, we're voting against Hitler, and low income people. Yeah, well, they don't even have to go racist on Trump.
They will, though. They will.
They will. But I mean, I think they're going to lean heavy into you're voting for democracy. He's going to overthrow it. like that stupid old lady. She literally, if you sat down next to her and talked, she literally thinks Donald Trump is going to overthrow the republic. She's convinced of it.
She's a mockingbird. Oh, she's a parrot. She's
right.
parroting Rachel Maddow. I mean, you can hear it in the verbiage.
But these people believe it. That's what, and like, we can't even conceptualize that because we're like, of course, you know, there's no way for the president to overthrow without support of the military and all these other things. But she really believes it. And there's millions and millions and millions of people like her who think, oh my God, you know, the talking box on the wall said that if Donald Trump's elected, like, he might install himself king and he'll be, you know, dictator for life, right?
And this is the things they're doing. I mean, the stupidity level is going to kill us.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. No, I in watching certain things, and usually I don't watch network type stuff during the election. I'll just go to C-SPAN. But last night I just got stuck on those exit polls because C-SPAN really doesn't do the exit poll thing, and I wanted to see what those exit polls were showing. And when I saw 64% of the voters said that they weren't MAGA, or 64% of the people that they polled leaving weren't MAGA, I was like, okay, all right. Get yourself together.
My analysis has always been, if you look at a nationwide sample, MAGA represents, give or take, 50% of the Republican base, which is 50% of the nation, so about 25%. There's 25% of people that identify as Republican that haven't escaped the matrix. They still think that Lindsey Graham's a good guy, and they think...
Well, Donald Trump thinks Lindsey Graham a good guy. He said it.
Well, yeah, but Donald Trump says that. I don't know.
And then he gets booed off his own stage.
I know, right.
But I'm just saying, there's people that still live in the matrix that watch Fox News and think Republicans they think Chip Roy's really going to do something this time. Oh, did you see that clip? Oh my God, Chip Roy's letting them have it. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, or Speaker Johnson. Oh, he just passed the bill. Didn't figure that out, but
I think this is Wayne's show, 1,000%. But I think our mission ought to be to get that half of that Republican Party back.
Right.
I think that's what that's why you hear me ad nauseum talking about how terrible the Republican Party is.
Right.
No, I mean, for me, I think that across the nation, I think it's 35% MAGA, 35%, or maybe even 40% Dems, and I think the rest are independents and Republicans. Because we really don't count the independents, and even though the independents can switch either way whenever they want to. And lately, in the past few years, I've been noticing a lot of Democrats are claiming that they're independent, but they really aren't. They just don't want to be labeled as independent. You know what I'm saying? They want to. You're a liberal. No, I'm not. I'm independent.
See, I think that's where the numbers are skewed, in my opinion. I think that 35% are MAGA because the rest of the country, the people that should be on our side, are convinced that MAGA isn't what MAGA is. Right. I mean, I think if you went out and you posed the question differently, would you like to make your country great? I think you'd have 80% people raising their hands.
I agree with that.
I'll give you a real example. Dean Phillips, who is a member of the House of Representatives from Minnesota, he comes from the Phillips vodka factory or family. If you ever drank the cheap vodka in the plastic bottle, that was his. And we all did. We were all young, right? Cheap wine, cheap vodka. He got elected to the House as an outsider, political outsider, didn't take big campaign money. I like him for that. I hate all his policy positions. But this last weekend, he went to a Trump rally. Yeah. He actually got 23% of the Democrat vote in New Hampshire. He was having an event, and he saw a Trump rally across the street and did an interview on this that I had retweeted out. And he went over there, and he talked to the people in line first time he had ever talked to MAGA people, other than people like screaming at him on social media. And he's like, I didn't know what to think. I walked up. These folks were nice. They were genuine. They were welcoming. They have real concerns about our nation. And because I'm like, how can you support Trump? And they're like, you know what? Trump says stupid things, but nobody else will listen to us and actually do things to put America first again. And it's not that we don't want bad for other countries, but we need to take care of ourselves before we can take care of others. And he's like, I walked away and I'm like, why are we demonizing all these people? And we should be listening to them and listening to what they want to do. And it was funny because he gave an interview recounting it, and it sounded somewhat transformational for him. And that's what we need to do. Like, that's what, we try to do on the show, is make this, share this content with people you might not agree with, because while we like to make fun of Dems or whatnot, they need to go through that same awakening, just like half the Republican Party needs to go through that awakening, that the political class is what's killing us, folks. Doesn't matter Democrat or Republican. It is the political class. That's it.
I think there's a lot of people starting to say that I've heard several on the left saying, hey, you know what? We got to quit demonizing half the country, man. This is not, it's not a good end game, not a good end game for us.
That's over the past couple of years, I haven't moved my thinking to the middle, but I have thought, I was like, we need to change the way that we talk to other people, because not everybody over there thinks the crazy way that the leaders in Washington, D.C. do. The leaders in Washington, D.C. are screwing it up for everybody because, like I said, the State of the Union address is coming up at the beginning of March. When you hear them say the State of the Union is great, they're not talking about us. They're talking about the Uniparty. They're not talking about us, because we're going through jobs and, all that, 15 million jobs that he created and stuff. I'm seeing Google lay off thousands. I'm seeing these major companies lay off thousands. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm seeing gas go up. I'm seeing food still going up, that I don't even know if we're going to be able to buy a cracker in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if we're going to be able to buy bottled water. Everybody might be going back to tap until their teeth fall out.
I'll tell you what, too, the food is all fugazi anymore. You go in there, some of the stuff, I told the story about the bread. My buddy upstate catching minnows, he used to bait his traps with bread. He said he puts the bread in now, and he comes back to the trap, and usually all the bread's gone. He said now you go out there, the bread didn't even change its shape. It didn't dissolve or anything, and it's all still there. The fish won't touch it.
Yeah.
And I ate some macaroni and cheese 2 nights ago, the kind with the pouch of the cheese, and I squeezed it out in there. And it seemed like it took forever for this stuff to melt, man. There's something wrong with it. And so I made it, and I got to put a little milk in it to get it to melt. It freaking melted. I ate it. And an hour later, from the time it took me to eat, to go over to put my dish in the sink,
right,
the pot that had macaroni and cheese, it was hard already.
Hard, yeah.
That's not the same macaroni I grew up with.
Right.
I'm sorry. Then I go to get some crab cakes in the store the other day, and they look great. Maryland crab cakes, man. I looked at them things made with real crab meat and imitation crab meat and fish flakes. Man, I threw that back in the freezer and I left. It's all fake.
Look,
it's changing too.
I used to get ciabatta bread from Costco. They don't do it no more, but I used to get ciabatta bread from Costco and get it home, and within a day and a half, 2 days, the bread starts turning. I'm like, what are y'all using back there? I should be able to at least have ciabatta bread to last for maybe a week, but it's starting to turn after 2 or 2.5 days. I was like,
that's better than the alternative.
I was going to say real fresh baked bread.
That's got bread,
without all the
flour and yeast and water, and that's it, buddy. That's
like you're only going to get a few days out of that.
That's all you're supposed to have.
I'm spoiled though, so I mean, I'm used to bread lasting a little bit longer.
You need to find a bakery, man, so you know when.
I need to.
What day it was baked.
They don't sell it anymore for some reason. They don't sell ciabatta bread anymore.
Well, and it's funny talking about the times we're in. You know, I've been reading and just diving more into the Roman Empire just because it's fun. And some of the guys I work with are really into it. And it's funny because you can just see the cycle. We're reaching a cycle where the populace, the people, are going to revolt against the power establishment. And it's happened many times over history. Right now, we're being distracted with circuses and gladiator fights and stuff. And when we stop letting them do that, we're going to really look at, people are going to start seeing like, oh my God, you know, they fire up Republicans and have us go jump on a Democrat about something stupid. They do the same to us. Meanwhile, they sit in their life of luxury, enriching themselves, screwing us over and not caring.
So if you ever find that again, Wayne, I'm trying to see who it was. Somebody said, take half of it and put in the freezer.
Oh, yeah.
I need to buy another freezer.
I had that problem one time.
I need to look. It's like I keep looking in and I'm like, God darn, I forgot that was in there. Man, but I ain't got no place else to put. I need to get a freezer. I need to get a little freezer.
You have a chest freezer?
That's what I need to get.
I got an upright. It's better than a chest freezer.
You have an upright? Is it in the basement or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I do chest freezer because it doesn't, stuff keeps longer in there.
The problem with a chest freezer is the stuff that's on the bottom layer.
Right.
Oh, that's super freezer burn.
No, yeah, it stays there. You forget it's down there.
Yeah.
And that's the big stuff, like the whole turkey.
Yeah.
You know, but with the chest freezer, I mean, you could probably put more in the chest freezer, but
you can put a body in there, can you?
The upright one, you can see what's in there.
No, those you just take to the pig farm, Wayne. You don't need to worry about freezing them.
The pigs.
Oh my God. We watch too much TV.
What was his name? Oh, can't remember.
Okay. I've seen many a tale with them put in the freezer. So I mean, in a chest freezer. So
and finding it, I remember they found a body alongside the road, and when they started doing the autopsy on him, there was ice in the blood. The freaking thing was dead for like 40 years or something. It was put in the freezer, and then somebody just put it out on the road. It's like
that's one way to get rid of it.
Some smart shit right there.
Just store it up for 40 years and then get rid of it before you kick the bucket.
Yeah.
You leave a note for your buddy like, hey, in case I die, I need you to destroy these things, delete my browser history, and then, oh, by the way, I got the body in the freezer. Can you get rid of that too?
I was watching this. It's called Freezer Prank, but they put a dummy in the freezer, and then they called the guy out because they were having some problems with the freezer. So the guy comes out. He comes out with his clipboard and everything, and he's walking up. He's walking up to the freezer. He's like, I don't know why it's not working and everything. It just won't work. But he didn't follow the guy in there. He just told the guy to go into the garage, and that's where the freezer was. And the guy opened up that thing. He saw that body in there. He turned around and almost ran back to the truck. He was like, "What's wrong? I got to call this in. It's something I can't fix." He's like, "Wait! It's a prank! It's a prank! It's a."
We had a couple of these guys from Saudi Arabia. This is back in the 70s. A couple of these guys from Saudi Arabia in the neighborhood. They were rich folks' kids, you know, but I think they were going to school or whatever. Well, some of my buddies took them upstate, up to the country, you know, out to the woods. And there's a ton of deer in Pennsylvania, and it was during the wintertime. So during the wintertime, when they put salt on the roads, the deer come out to lick the salt off the roads, and they get hit by cars and trucks. So they found there was a roadkill, and these Arabs, man, they went out and they cut the head off this thing, off a buck. They cut the head off, and I come back, and I see them a couple weeks later. You go in the freezer, and there's a freaking deer head in the freezer with his eyeballs still. I mean, they didn't clean it out or nothing. It's just got his gray eyes sitting there staring. I'm like, dude, man, this is not. It's not how you do it.
Wow,
it's not how you do it.
You know, we try to keep y'all up to date on a lot of news that's going on. Some things some things I see, I want to wait for more information before I talk about it. But then there's other things that I know that y'all see that I see that many people on our side really don't talk about. It happens to people on our side. We just don't talk about it. It's sort of put away, but we all see it. And one thing I will say is I'm praying for the Trump family for everything that they're going through right now. Okay. And I mean, I'm not even going to get into stuff that I see, but I mean, it's, I mean, sometimes you have issues, and, but for the most part, we do see things. We just want to wait to check things out before we say anything that's we need legit information before we come to you on certain things. But believe me, I ain't even gonna talk about Charlie. I'm not gonna talk about Charlie. I was going to go after him again. I ain't gonna talk about him because what happens in our movement is that social media is a bastard. And I was reading the other day where they were talking about how there were so many Republicans and MAGA people that just aren't on social media. Rush Limbaugh's brother said it. He said it. He was like, y'all don't even understand. There's so many good MAGA people out here that are not even on social media. They're not toxic. They just want to live every day. They just want to take care of whatever they want to take care of. They believe in Donald Trump. They don't go around calling names. They don't do all this stuff. They just want the country to be great again, and they want Donald Trump to make it great. But they aren't on social media. Social media is almost talking down to the lowest denominator to a point. Yes, it is there for news, real-time news, but real-time news can be faked real fast too. There's an old saying that many of us have heard for a long time. A liar get around the world before the truth gets out of bed. And it's true. It's easy to put a sensational story out there. And like, you remember during the 2016 election, MSNBC and CNN used to always come on and say some lies about Donald Trump. And then a day and a half or 2 days later, they come back and retract it. But the lies are already out there, and it develops its own life. And really, to tell you the truth, if we believed half of the stuff that the mainstream media put out there about Donald Trump, I don't think we would have voted for Donald Trump in 2016. But we knew differently. We knew that he was being attacked. We knew his family was being attacked. We knew his businesses were being attacked. And we said, we aren't going to let that affect us. Bring it to where we are in 2024. It's the same thing. We know what has happened. We know because we haven't taken our eyes off the ball. I don't blame, let's be honest, I don't blame him for Obamacare not being repealed. I don't blame Donald Trump. I know who to blame. It was the Republicans in Congress because I watched them. I don't blame Donald Trump for the border wall. I blame the Republicans for not giving it to him when he asked for it. Okay? I mean, and my boys will tell you, the Uniparty got up there. The Uniparty has destroyed, their intention was to destroy Donald Trump. They wanted to stop him because he can't be controlled. Who can be controlled? Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. Many of the Democrats Ron DeSantis too. Nikki Haley. They can be controlled. Okay? Because they take the 30 pieces of silver, like Hutch uses on it. They take the 30 pieces of silver and they put it in the bank, and then they take more 30 pieces of silver. Ron DeSantis got $200 million. And he went through it. He went through it like a prostitute on Friday night. Nikki Haley now is getting the $200 million. Now she's getting the corporate money. And she won't get out because she wants more of it. Think about that. She wants more of it.
I'll tell you something else to think about too. This lawfare is going to ramp up now that they see that there's nobody left. It's going to ramp up because they got to keep somebody dangling. Somebody has to be there for when they try to make him fall. I'm not saying they're going to make him fall, but they're going to damn sure try.
I was going to say just two things on that. First, think of that. $400 million's gone to DeSantis and Nikki Haley. Nobody built a building.
Crazy.
What?
Not one bridge fixed.
No bridge fixed. Nobody started a company. Nobody did anything. All that money gets cycled into these political parasites, and they pay somebody to do a task or to send a tweet or to do this or do that. And all that money that 400 million has just been divvied up between all those bloodsuckers. Yep. You know, nobody built anything or bought anything with that. And so Wayne's spot on. Like, all these people just suck the blood out of it. And for what Hutch said, I've been saying it the whole time. This is going to get worse, folks. Buckle up. We can't overstate what's going to happen.
And that election last night was a milestone that the left is watching.
Right.
That's going to cause them to do something.
Exactly.
You know, and if you look at what he just said about the consultant class is what Jay's talking about. The consultant, think Karl Rove. All right. All the money that is still in Nikki Haley's account, she will be in until it's all gone.
Yep.
Because Karl Rove or whoever, actually her financial backer is a big Democrat. Voter named Reed, I think his name is, that funded some of this lawfare that's going on against Trump. Well, him or Karl Rove or someone is in Nikki Haley's ear. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. Just hang on there. Hang in there until we get to Kansas. Hang in there. No, it's hang in there until all your money's gone, and then we're going to drop out.
That's what happened to DeSantis.
It's what happens to every politician.
Right. It dried up.
The consultants are the ones, the Ronna McDaniel types are the ones that make money off of this stuff. The 200 million, 400 million, however much it is. It's all wasted, and we need to redirect that somewhere else.
Well, yeah, and all these political campaigns are, I mean, they're full of people that are friends of friends or cousins or uncles, and all of a sudden I'm going to hire this person and pay him $100,000 a year to do this thing that they couldn't get a real job, you know, a lot of them. And so that's how the money gets distributed, and you set up that political class because they take in donations, then they route it out to their friends and family essentially, and then they walk away. I mean, and the politicians, they get some kickback on the end. It's not like Ron DeSantis doesn't have a safe landing spot already lined up once he's done being governor.
That's part of the contract.
Yeah, he fixed the game. He fixed the game. I mean, I feel
actually they fixed it. He fell for it.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and it's funny because that's part of my analysis why I think there's a 30% chance somebody makes an assassination attempt on President Trump is because Trump's not going to back down. And as long as he doesn't back down, MAGA is going to support him. And this is going to keep going and keep going. And they're going to do everything they can to keep him out of the White House because they know what's coming if he gets back in there.
Well, I have a friend. He's not in he's not J6, but he was a consultant. They picked him up, and he's been incarcerated since July. And
travesty.
You know, he calls me. He calls me from prison. They keep moving around. He's in Kentucky, I think, right now. But he told me, he was like, they're going after.
That's called diesel torture. They drive you around from place to place. You don't know where you're going. They do it at 3:00 in the morning. They're animals.
He said this. He was like, they're going for everybody. They're not just going for Donald Trump. They're going for the people that were down there at Mar-a-Lago They got facial recognition and everything. They're going to go after these people's accounts. They're going to go after people's banks and stuff like that. The FBI and what they're trying to do, the FBI, is they're trying to convert some of these people. You know, they're giving them
immunity.
It's
what they do, man. This is the whole federal criminal justice system forever. Yep. This isn't new. You know, I saw this one. It was called Snitch, and it was a guy whose son, who was like 22, sold one pill to somebody else, and he ended up getting caught by the feds, and they charged him with 10 to 15 years unless he gave him somebody else. And the dad had to go undercover to get tape on another drug dealer to get his son off. And that's the way it goes up the line. Sometimes there's not even any evidence. That's what I was trying to tell to that lawyer we used to have on here, but he didn't know what I was talking about. But, you know, it's like, this is a big game. The FBI, it's the Federal Entrapment Agency, you know?
And it's funny. I saw an interview with Dinesh D'Souza where he was talking about that after he did Police State. And Dinesh, who's been fairly plugged into the conservative think tank world for a while, whatever anybody thinks of him, he said, you know, before this Trump stuff, like, people talk about the deep state, and I thought they were crazy. And he said after the Trump thing, like, you see it all. It's hard to deny that it's there. Whatever you want to call it, the cabal, the deep state, the uniparty, whatever you want to call it. And he was doing this interview, and the guy said, "What? So you really think they can go after anybody?" He's like, "Yeah." And he says, "Just give me somebody, I'll tell you what they can do." And the guy said, "I got my buddy that's a doctor. He's a Trump donor." He said, "Okay, all the FBI needs to do is go talk to his patients, find one patient he prescribed a pain medication that they didn't ask for, and now he has a felony charge against him. We can suspend his medical license, and we can theoretically lock him up and charge him. All we got to do is just go. The FBI just goes and tells prosecutor to charge him for it. He's over prescribing controlled substance." And the guy sat there. He's like, I'll
tell you, and there's an easy fix to it. It's not easy, but there's a simple fix to this. 20% of the federal workforce, the leadership, the heads of agencies and all their underlings, 20% of the entire federal government, the entire leadership of the federal government is in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is 90% Democrat. There is no relocation bonus for anybody getting a job in D.C. because there's so many people there locally. So you're automatically going to get the local people to work in that machine. You start taking these agencies out of D.C.
Right.
You split them up, and you use the common sense. Hey, if we get in a nuclear war, we want to be able to still operate. So let's put the Food and Drug Administration in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. You know, we've said this before.
We can
Department of Interior. We'll put the FBI in Montana somewhere.
Yeah, because Donald Trump wants to keep it in D.C. And
I don't understand that. I don't know why.
Well, I do, and I read it. Your boy, his son-in-law has some contracts and stuff.
Yeah.
Can we start with closing down 75% of these federal agencies first?
I wish we would.
Before we relocate them.
It's easy to do. You just do it by attrition, then nobody gets hurt.
Exactly. I mean, honestly,
you just don't hire anybody.
I'm sure if he really wanted to, I mean, no, I'm not saying he doesn't want to do it, but it would go a long way within the first couple of days if he executively closed those agencies down.
Yep.
Executive order, we don't need them, shut them down.
And a case in point, I don't know what the percentage is today, but there's a huge amount of federal office buildings that are uninhabited.
Right.
Since COVID. And these slugs they're still fighting to stay home, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are. I mean, I know some of them.
Yep. I remember.
Yeah, the rest of the world has been back to work for 2 years. Or if you were one of the poor people that worked in retail or service industry, like myself and my ilk, right? I worked retail a long time. Like you never got to work from home. You know, you could.
So. No, you couldn't because they want body in the seats. I remember that. I remember that crazy crap. But I remember who was his name? He was Latino, not Mayorkas. There was another one.
Viserys?
Yes, him. They're trying to get new money to build a new building and they were asking, and they were talking to because the Republicans are in charge. They're like, wait a minute. Guy brought this picture of a whole parking lot. There were no cars. He was like, this was on Monday. This was on Monday. There's nobody here. Well, I don't know about that. I'm going to have to check into it. We're telling you this right now. There's nobody. I mean, you still have people working from home. We have been out of the pandemic for over a year and a half. And you want millions of
full bills too. All the bills are paid. Electric, gas, everything.
Right. Let me this is what was happening on Rachel Maddow last night.
Now, I'm not saying she could actually get it.
Yeah.
But if you're the donor class that wants Trump gone, you tell her, thug it out for a few months. I'm going to put some more money in your bank account, because if he gets convicted, you do want to have a candidate with enough delegates to go in that can be on the floor and have a floor fight with Donald Trump.
That's
familiar.
That's what, yeah. I mean, they know the deal. Okay, they know the deal. What's his name? What's the money guy over at Fox News?
I'm looking at him. I can't think of his name.
Charles Payne.
Charles Payne, yeah.
Charles Payne and Jessica Turlow.
Awesome.
Had a little breakdown.
You know, Charles, you talked about the issues here and how immigration here is at the top, but it also is an economic issue, and it crosses all boundaries. And it is a weakness for President Biden and the Democrats. Dean Phillips talks about this on the trail, and he talks about how Democrats demean MAGA voters. He talked about it with me today, saying that, you know, it's just strange that they're talking about a group of voters like that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's narcissism. I think if it's, you've lived in New York long enough, you know it's maybe a New York thing. Someone punches you, you punch him back harder. That's the way I grew up in Harlem.
Not if the country's at stake, right?
He became president of the United States with that same personality. I don't think that, you know, listen, I think it's worse with Biden calling MAGA. Biden's anger and vitriol and hatred for MAGA is far more worse than President Trump's individual battles with someone who crosses him. That is something that is really detrimental to this country, that the president of the United States despises half of the United States. President Biden, I said earlier today, about a week ago, I had a segment coming up, so I Googled Biden hates MAGA. Nothing but articles after articles after articles. He has expressed hatred for half of the country.
Who's writing those articles?
It doesn't matter. Look
and it's
at
not.
him. Because the bottom line is he says it. He has vitriol for them. And so does MSNBC, and so does CNN, and so does the New York Times. They have vitriol for half of the nation. They don't look at them like fellow Americans, and it's unfortunate. They try to paint them as racist. All the things that they do to their fellow Americans who simply want a safe home, a safe community, for the children to have prosperity. They want the same thing, but they demean them all the time. That's why I think Phillips was so intriguing, because he went to a rally to find out for himself. And guess what? Golly, these are some pretty cool people. They're just like us.
Shut up! Damn, that lady's annoying.
Jessica Tarloff. God love her.
That was a good one, man.
Yeah.
Breaking news, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says the state of Texas will continue to use razor wire as a deterrent against border crossings, disregarding the Supreme Court ruling.
Hell yeah.
Good for him.
Good. As a matter of fact, they were putting more down there yesterday. So, so it's like now.
I mean, the National Guard was.
Yeah.
So you're going to call on active duty military to come down and tighten up their brothers in the Texas National Guard? That's not going to go too well.
That's not going to go too well. Exactly. I totally agree with you. It's not going to go too well, y'all. It's not. It isn't. I saw a meme. Saw a meme where, well, actually, let me get it right, because I just messed it up in my head. This is someone speaking on CBS talking about Bidenomics.
Yeah, so people are really bummed out about the economy here in New Hampshire, even if the overall big picture numbers are going in the right direction. And even if people's own personal experiences in general are going okay, there's a lot of gloom. And one of the reasons is food prices, for example, generally going up. And we talked to a bunch of people outside of a grocery store in Derry, New Hampshire. We couldn't find anybody feeling good about the economy. And that's just human nature. Psychologically, you go into a store, if you're paying more for items that you get every week, that really sticks with you. It really annoys you. It gets you down. People were upset about it. And so are they making it? Yeah, they're making it. But are they bothered by the fact that frozen OJ has gone up double digits and that steak on Friday is up double digits? Absolutely. And that's really driving people's perspective on things.
That's what we're talking about. The state of the economy, the state of the nation is not good. I don't care how they get it in front of it. It's not good. Okay. So, I'm like, y'all want to keep lying to the American people? Yeah, keep lying to them. But sooner or later, you're going to have more people scaling that wall. And this time, they coming to do some damage.
I'll tell you, the thing that worries me is young kids getting conditioned. You get when you get my age, and you say something in front of kids, they like to laugh at you a lot, right? And because they think they know everything in their little 20-year history. But I remember when bread was 30 cents a loaf, and when soup was 10 cents a can.
Right.
And when you go through and I'm bitching about prices that I see, and they just blow it off, like they've been conditioned that, yeah, coffee really costs $10 a can. It's sad to watch, man, that they're accepting, there's a little bit of disgruntledness, but not the amount I would expect, like I'm way more mad than they are. It's just something I get nervous that when's the last time you've seen prices, besides with Donald Trump, when's the last time you've seen prices go down on anything?
Nothing.
It doesn't usually happen, man.
Yeah.
Well, and even like for grown-ups, people are such low IQ with some of this stuff. When they talk about inflation numbers, it's like stuff's up 20% from 2 years ago. That 20% still there. So if they say inflation's flat, well, you've already increased everything by 20%. And then they say, the stock market's up. Well, this just in, folks, when your money's worth less, your tangible assets like your house and your stocks go up in value because that same piece of stock or your house is worth more because your dollar is worth less. I mean, it's just common sense. But like they're telling, the stock market's over 39,000. Yeah, we just saw a huge wealth transfer from working class to rich people who had the money to invest in the stock, because people like you and I, we keep our money, we go buy groceries, we're paying 20% more. The stock is worth the same relative to what it used to be, but the number says bigger because they store their value in assets. I mean, it's common sense, but
we let's see. Tomorrow's our Friday or Thursday. We're getting ready to roll out here. I hope that y'all like the little graphic changes and stuff. We gotta get ready for the election, man. So I was like, man, get that dark stuff out of the way. Let me get some presidential 24 election and stars and stripes. We don't know what's going to happen, but we told you last year something's coming down the road. One thing that my boys have alluded to, and I agree. But instead of something racist going against somebody, it's usually a racial incident that happens during the election, before the election. Somebody gets shot or killed, or a big old riot or something like that. They try to move the needle that way, And don't forget, August is always the month of no news. So watch out what happens there. Now, this year, both of the conventions, I think, are supposed to be in August.
Yep.
So that's going to take care of August. But just watch out for the news. Just watch out for the news. And if you want to send us some tips or whatnot, just email us at wdshow@yahoo.com. We're getting ready to roll out of here. We're going to get into some final thoughts, but want to let you know again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in, and thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in us and sharing what we do. We're going to go last thoughts, Jason, and then last thoughts, Hutch, and then we're going to fly out of here on the bird.
Well, folks, first, thanks for tuning in. Hutch, Wayne, great week of show so far. Everybody watching, make sure you like, comment, and share. Just a thought of the day was we've got kids. Kids are getting old enough to start having kids. And we were thinking about our grandchildren. Like, oh, gosh, we're going to have grandkids. And make sure that you stay in touch with especially your grandchildren and you keep them safe, introduce them to God, keep them secure. Because we were talking, if a kid goes to school today, they're going to learn, I hate America. America's racist. The world is going to burn down in 12 years. Like, they won't get to go play in the yard, and we need to get back to really protecting kids. And I think reconnecting with God is a big part of that because, and we said it on the show, but man, it is rough what we're walking these young kids into, and we need to stop that. Thank you, though.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I'm lucky I have 5 grandchildren. And they are definitely the light of my life. I instituted several years ago, every Sunday they come to my house to eat. Now, my son doesn't do it, but my daughter and her 2 kids do, and her husband and everything. So it's a good time. It's a good way to stay connected. Say a prayer for Texas and the Trump family and anybody that's flying. If you're using the airport and forget your photo ID, good luck on trying to get on the plane. But if you're one of these illegal invaders without an acceptable form of identification, you don't need a photo. You get special treatment. We're letting these third world peasants fly all around our airspace and don't know who the hell they are. It's not going to turn out well. It's not just an election going on, folks. There's a lot of other stuff going on too. And we'll square you away. We'll see you tomorrow.
That's right. Until tomorrow, y'all keep your heads down, keep low. If you get in trouble, don't call us. I mean, we'll pray for you, but you should really check our bank accounts because I'm telling you, we ain't got